Welcome everyone to Anime Talk. I am Joe, and we are back for another week of exciting conversation and dialogue. I've got three guests again, one new one, and it should be a fun night. But as you all know, my name is Joe. I am your host. I am a guest writer, I guess I am Robin to Ghost Lightning's Batman at ghostlightning.wordpress, and you can find me on Twitter at JoeAnimated. Let's get to our first guest tonight. Cadian, why don't you go ahead?
Hi, I'm Cadian. I work for Nihon Review. You can check me out now. I do most of my damage on Twitter, though.
Next up, we have Kevo. Kevo, go ahead.
Hi, my name's Kevo. I write for Desu Ex Machina. I also write for the Nihon Review once in a while. I do a lot of my damage on Twitter as well. I also mess up Zero Particles blog anime instrumentality when I don't have anything to do.
And we have a new guest this week. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Aziraz, Az for short. I write for Anime Era. I'm also on Twitter, and I'm the token Azerbaijani guy of the Anime blogosphere. True story.
Great. Well, thanks guys for coming on. Hopefully we get some great stuff going tonight. But first up, the summer 2012 anime season has officially started. What are you guys hyped for? Since you're our newest guest, why don't you start?
Well, I'm not big this summer. It's not like the spring for me where I picked up like 10 different series, but I'm waiting for Moyashman Returns because I recently watched Moyashman and I love it. I just can't wait for it to come back.
And that's going to be on the Noitanma slot, correct?
Yeah, that and Natsuki Rendezvous. I mean, Natsuki Rendezvous also looks like quite a good romance, and I'm definitely going to check it out, but the biggest one I'm waiting for is Moyashimon. All the other ones that have already aired, they haven't really done anything for me. Like, Arcana Familia was kind of average, Campione was average as well. I don't think I even watched Love Love in its entirety. There hasn't really been anything that stood out for me.
True, we're about halfway through the first week, yeah. Cadian, what do you think? What's really got you hyped, or has anything got you hyped?
I don't know if anything's got me really hyped. This summer season, everyone's kind of expecting it to be kind of a letdown, other than maybe Moyashiman bullying season up. I took a liking to Humanity Has Declined. It's a absurd kind of fairy tale looking sort of show, but has some very sneaky scathing commentary on human society kind of peppered throughout, and I like that combination of black humor with kind of bright visual pop it has.
Alright. Kivo, what are you thinking?
I guess to be different, I'm going to have to say Yoshiraku. I really like the trailers for Yoshiraku. I also really like, the work. My mind is shot right now. I really like the manga. I'm a huge fan of this director, Kuchi Kometa, I think. Batyu Saina's Zesmo Sensei. Overall, I thought the characters sounded really nice, the voice acting sounded really nice, which is good because of the subject matter. And, I always look for the nice, hopefully promising slice of life show in a season. Obviously, I'll watch the big ones like Moyashiman and Jinrei, but that's kind of what I'm looking forward to myself.
All right. Yeah, I have to say the freshly sliced bread was definitely a nice touch on Jinrei. That was something else.
Or bread-like substance.
Bread-like substance. And then what was the joke too? The rating system. Great, good, and fair.
It was wonderful, great, and fair.
Wonderful, great, and fair.
They only promote positive reinforcement.
Yes.
Yeah, they don't teach bad or terrible or shit.
That's how I rate all my anime. Wonderful, great, and fair.
Fair, yes. Oh, so coming up this season too is really a dynamic shift as well. Crunchyroll has picked up quite a bit of airing shows. I've noticed a lot of at least a lot of the shows that have aired to this point have been on Crunchyroll. But are you guys starting to think that the legal streaming sites, Crunchyroll, I think Anime Network, etc., are starting to supplement the need for torrents to keep current with new anime? I don't know, Acadian, what do you think?
Well, I've been noticing the streaming sites, Crunchyroll, Hulu, Funimation / Nico Nico. They've been gaining momentum in the number of titles they've been acquiring and streaming over the past, I don't know, 2 years, year and a half. I was trying to brainstorm, and I crowdsourced Twitter for shows that people wanted to see that weren't simulcast. And like, there were a fair number. They came up with like Penguin Drum, Eureka 7 AO, Idolmaster was streamed late. But in the overall scheme of things, there are like maybe 1 or 2 shows that aren't actually streaming and you couldn't watch for free on a legal site. And I think that's a good progress for the industry.
I know. So how many of you guys have subscriptions to one of these services? Whether it's the just you've signed up so you can watch it a week later, or you're actually paying to see it simulcast or nearly simulcast. All of you guys? None of you guys?
I have one for Crunchyroll, but being as international as I am, you can't really use that outside of the UK where I live. So it makes it a little bit harder to kind of want more subscriptions to simulcast websites.
Yeah, I think that's a big hole in the simulcast model right now, is that the international people outside of North America and maybe the UK have a really tough time accessing a lot of these shows. I know Funimation is region locked only for North America, and that kind of sucks for everyone because they had a lot of like Noitamina streams in the last 2 years, so anyone who wanted to see that kind of had to, outside the US, had to go to torrents.
Actually, I remember being able to watch some Funimation stuff on YouTube in England. Like, I remember I went on their YouTube channel, and then you could watch like entire episodes of like Chobits and Air Gear, just like that, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's not that big a problem, but it's definitely, when they put regional restrictions, you can't really do much about it, so you have to resort to torrenting.
It might be limited to the streaming currently, like week on week simulcast stuff that's region locked.
Yeah, somehow I believe that will be the case, definitely.
Kiba, what do you do? Are you a legal or sidestepper when it comes to getting your anime?
I am a 100% Al Capone, like John Wayne Gacy criminal when it comes to watching anime. The FBI is knocking at my door. And I don't have really anything against simulcasting or Crunchyroll. I actually think it is the future of the industry, primarily because it's moving DVDs. I mean, that's almost out-of-date format. It's a physical streaming entertainment is the future of all entertainment, not just the anime industry. And but no, I personally don't stream just because I'm just so used to torrenting. I stream very rarely. Once in a while, I have a Netflix account. I'll watch some anime on Netflix or just watch on Crunchyroll if it's really convenient. But I really like the fact that I don't have to buffer and the fact that I can get 720p whenever I want when I do torrent. I also, it's just what it is. I'm not, when one day we have to all switch to Crunchyroll, one day Crunchyroll has like almost everything, I'll do it. And if it has everything I watch, I'll do it. But no, for now, I still do torrent, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have to admit I haven't succumbed to the Crunchyroll subscription yet, other than if it's on, I'll watch it a week later, but I haven't done the pay for simulcast option yet. But this season really doesn't have anything I'm looking forward to watching simulcast. I think last season it would have been MGX, but nothing really. I mean, nothing really piques my interest enough to want to pay for it, I guess, at this point.
Right.
Which brings.
I mean.
Here, go
sorry,
for it. No, go for it.
Yeah. I mean, as a fan of anime, you know, I really do believe in supporting the industry as much as you can. I just saw Shimmer's comment, sorry. I do believe in supporting the anime industry as much as it can, but the current structure that they have with selling in anime, a lot of the money doesn't even go to the animators in Japan, and it's a shame. Obviously, licensing something from another country into this country and distributing it is a very complex and obfuscated process, but the anime needs to change, especially the American anime industry needs to change. If you build it, they will come, but you have to build it for the fans. I do believe that anime has a future in Japan, but not the way it is now. I believe that Crunchyroll is the right first step for the industry.
I think what you said, actually Crunchyroll, if I remember from an interview they did a while back, they actually do distribute their monies directly to the studios that they got their shows from. It was actually split up between, based on what you, like, say you paid a subscription for however many months, based on what you actually watched on the site, it's divided evenly that way towards those studios.
Right. And Crunchyroll is also a good structure because there's no such thing as a shelf in Crunchyroll. You just watch what you want. Because if we just go back to just straight up DVDs, DVDs, when they're in Best Buy, they need to compete shelf space with a lot of other things. So basically what happens is you have 2 DVDs in Best Buy. You have Bleach and you have Naruto. There's no room for anything that has a small following like the shows that us bloggers watch.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose there's also a question of quality. Like, I mean, you might be unlucky and be downloading, fan subs or copies, and you just, the translation could be horrible, and you're just sitting through it, and you're like, what am I watching?
True, I guess, yeah. You got to. Sometimes the legal license copy is going to have a lot better translation, sub, maybe even dub than a fan created setup. But you never know.
I actually disagree with that. I think the opposite is true sometimes. I've seen professional subs that are just awful, but I see fan subs sometimes that are just as good. A lot of times they're native speakers and things like that. But it is, after all. I mean, one way of getting anime is illegal. The other way of getting anime hopefully should be the future of animation in the United States. But yeah, it is what it is.
I think at some point we just have to start overcoming all of the region coding and everything else that goes into it. The internet is not a region. It is what it is,
Right.
And so until once that's a media thing as a whole. That's not Japanese. That's not American or British. Everybody has the same. Everybody. I guess it's the media companies that treat things as being region, and then they stick to those. So adamantly stick to that regionalizing. It's boring. It's horrible. But.
Yeah, I kind of hope for my sake they stop doing that, because I get, I get the short end of the stick most of the time.
Yeah, definitely. But kind of continuing on the summer 2012 thing, there's been a lot of complaints that, hey, these shows just don't look that great. But is there an instance where you guys said, oh, I'm not going to like that show, but then you end up picking it up, you start watching it, and you realize, well, you know what? I actually like that show. I think the rep for it is unwarranted. Kiva, what do you think? Have you ever watched a show where in the end you're like, you know what? It had bad rep for nothing?
Yeah, I do. All right, everyone, listen closely. This is going to blow your mind. As I forget the title of the show. Come on, crap. What's it called? Are you serious?
Not gonna say Idolmaster.
I say Kevin's at a loss for words. Lost for words.
I thought this was for sure you're gonna say that.
No, I wasn't gonna say Idolmaster, though I did hesitate picking up Idolmaster.
Strike Witches.
Actually, someone else go first. I need to remember the title of this show. I'm really sorry.
Okay,
Looking
well,
good
I'm gonna lead off and say, having a bad rap, kind of means you have your ear to the ground. You're kind of listening what a lot of other people are saying, and they're kind of forward. They're kind of behind everyone else, and even the shows that have bad rap I like, I still understand they have major flaws with them. I just kind of still enjoyed it despite that. So here's one I don't think anyone else in the world might. I'm going to say I kind of enjoyed Chubra.
I liked it too, actually.
even though it
I don't think I've seen that.
I was
And
actually
well,
about to blurt out Chubra in panic because I forgot the name of my show.
Isn't
and
that-
that's
isn't
like
that
my
the-
second one?
Isn't that the lowly show where it's all about this 12-year-old girl that wears frilly bras and stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah,
starring
they-
Chihaya Minori. Yeah.
So the
Wow.
the premise
Okay,
is
just
they
checking.
start a middle school club where they are all about lingerie, pretty much. And it sounds really skeezy, and the first episode really was, and and it was like as bad as everyone expected, like pretty much. Everyone dropped it. And I continued watching pretty much out of more of a curiosity. But actually, after like the first episode and a half, it wasn't so much about like really fan service. It was about a middle school club trying to, you know, be, I don't know, enjoy something that others kind of automatically look down upon, and I feel like as an anime something I can relate with. It became about kind of a bunch of underdogs, you know, almost sticking it to a man almost.
That sounds
So.
really deep.
Wow, you made that sound so deep.
My favorite thing about
moved.
Chubra is that it knew exactly what it was, but it was amazingly intelligent for its subject matter. It wasn't just straight up 100% fan service, which I actually would have liked because I like the character design. But like the characters actually have like personalities and they interact with each other, and it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we have to acknowledge it really has its flaws. There's this huge barrier there that almost no one will climb over. Like it's still a very flawed show, but despite that, it has its points. It has its good points hidden underneath all the
Yeah.
nastiness.
You kind of have to look at it from with an open mind, and then it kind of like the main character. I forgot her name, but the girl that's obsessed with underwear. She's actually really funny, and like she's not like perverted or like any kind of degenerate kind of personality. She's just legitimately a girl that likes underwear as an art, and I can understand that. By the way, if I may respond to everyone in the chat, all your anime that you're listing, I actually do like. Bigata HK and Needless are freaking great. Everyone else is a hater.
Az, what about you? Anything that
I
comes
was
to mind?
actually going to say Bigata HK because I didn't expect to like it, but I just couldn't stop laughing every single time I watched it. And you know, the idea of it's a girl who's trying to get rid of her virginity so she can go and have sex with 100 guys. It was just so funny. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was a lot funnier than I thought it would be.
I would argue, and I will quote Akira's review for the Nihon review for this, that Bigata HK may have been the best romantic comedy of all time. in anime.
Well, no, I actually like also how it turned into quite a decent romance in the end of it as well. So it wasn't just all, comedy from start to finish, but there was actually some romance tied in there. It was good.
Yeah.
I think other than that, any series that I like that people don't tend to like are like shonen sports series. So like Spring Season's Kuroko no Basket is probably one of them that not many people would like.
Yeah.
And I understand why people don't like it. So like when you have a guy who can make a shot anywhere on the court, and this is full court, so it's ridiculous. But it's that little bit of shonen sports, that I do enjoy from time to time.
Shonen sports tends to fall into two camps. There's the kind of realistic shonen sports, like down to earth, cross game type shonen sports that everyone can get into. Then there's like the ridiculous, over the top shonen sports like Kuroko Basket or
Prince of Tennis, Ice Shield.
Prince of Tennis. These things are like there's no grounding in any sort of realism in those things, and those are the kind of shows that kind of turn off people who would like the sport in the first place.
Well, for that I actually blame Shonen Jump, because it was Prince of Tennis that started the whole era of ridiculous shonen sports series. Because then before that there was Slam Dunk, and Slam Dunk was still, it was down to earth and realistic. And then Prince of Tennis came and changed the entire thing.
Yeah.
So somebody makes a good point here that Thermae Rome really didn't look all that great when it started. I wouldn't say it had a bad rep, but it definitely wasn't on anybody's watch list. But you get 2 episodes into that, and it's hysterical.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think everyone agrees with that Thermae Rome is great. But I do remember my show now, finally. All right. Asterate no Omocha, I thought, is absolutely unfair that everyone hates that show.
Which one is that again?
Asterate no Omocha is the show that starts the Loli played by Kugumiya Rie. We're off to a great start. That the premise is that she's a succubus, that when she reaches puberty or whatever, she has to feed on the bodily fluids of men in order to survive, or
yes.
something like that.
I remember
Yeah,
this.
it's that one from a few years ago. From a few seasons ago.
Uh.
I find the premise completely unfair to the actual nature of the show, and I also find the judgment of people who just drop the show after 1 or 2 episodes just really unfair. Now, it is hardly a saintly show, and it's hardly the greatest show of all time, but in the end, it's like the conclusion actually was legitimately emotional. There is fan service, but nothing vulgar. And okay, the soundtrack is great, which automatically gives me points for the vote because I'm a soundtrack nerd. But I found that I found the show well paced, and the characters to actually be relatively enjoyable. I expected absolute smut, but it was hardly that at all. Have I shocked you guys into silence?
Well, you gotta see. You guys got to
Another case of
remember, I
false
have 2.
advertising?
What's that?
Is it another case of like false advertising?
It is
kind of thing?
absolutely. There is, I would say there is no like sex in that show at all. It is not. It's probably not safe for like work. Like there's a little bit of fan service and things like that, but there's no actual like, that stuff. I would say that it is classier than like Sacred Blacksmith.
Oh my gosh.
I remember the first couple of minutes of it. It had like them in a bath. That was the first couple of minutes. Just steamy bath scene.
Well, I mean, the way you described it, it sounds like a variant of Big Ate HK anyway. I mean,
right. I would say it's similar. It's actually a rather charming show. I like it.
Okay. Yeah. You just got to remember, I have 2 daughters. Anything that has that kind of premise just immediately makes me go into dad mode. It's just.
I understand.
Yeah. I'll let you guys talk. I got to stay out of this one.
Yeah.
But the question, when I look back at it, I was like to turn this all around back to enjoy a show that had a bad rap. That's like the entire premise of Terabad. Like all these shows.
No, but
have
we're
a bad-
celebrating the actual badness in Terabad.
Yeah.
Mm.
I didn't say how we were enjoying the show, but yeah, we are really enjoying at least the company of others while we celebrate
Right,
the
absolutely.
terrible flaws.
Yeah, and yeah, the thing that I like most about Astaroth, just to wrap everything up, is that I like how there's really no concept of pure evil, despite the fact that it's set in Norse mythology kingdom. The antagonists are kind of just like love rivals, and they actually in the end, they don't actually hate each other. They help each other out when they're in trouble. The show doesn't overstep its bounds or overcomplicate itself. It's just cute and vaguely emotional, and yeah, basically that's it.
Fair enough. I mean, I think some shows like that get judged way too quickly. Like, if it's fan service, I know a lot of people, like a lot of my friends, just turn off immediately and go, nope, not
Absolutely,
watching
yeah.
Sounds good. Let's go on to the next question. All right, guys. So we are starting to see some of these anime and manga get translated into live action. There's a new Blood movie coming out soon. But do you guys think Hollywood is ready to adapt Japanese anime and manga into maybe into an American setting rather than just purely into an East Asia setting? Do you think that the American public is ready for that kind of stuff? We've got comic adaptations in X-Men and things like that, but are we ready for a more Japanese-themed comic to live action adaptation? What do you think?
I think there's definitely opportunity there, but I think Hollywood's yet to take anime and manga seriously. I mean, if you look at that god-awful Dragon Ball film they made, that had a budget of 13 million, which is just a joke. I mean, it was done like 2009. That's a joke, and all these projects keep getting stalled. So like Death Note has been stalled for years. Akira has recently been put on hold, and apparently they're pushing forward with Bleach, which I don't understand. You put Akira on hold so you can do Bleach. It just doesn't make sense.
I think some of the problems with Akira though was huge backlash on their character choices. Like some of the people they chose to play the characters is almost an embarrassment. But that's
I think there was the guy from Prince of Persia, one of the guys from Prince of Persia to be the lead in Akira.
And
I can't remember his name. He's the British guy though.
Yeah, and there was one of the Disney guys was going to do it. What's his name? He was from High School Musical and stuff.
Oh right, I remember this. Well, F1 for Light Yagami.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
I think there's two parts. I agree. Money is one of them, but I think choosing the right people is going to be a second thing. You can't just pick up people because they're popular. You got to pick up people that can play the part.
I think there are no. The answer is no. Hollywood is not ready, and I think you guys touched on a couple of reasons why. First, there's no doubt that Hollywood has the talent. They have money somewhere. They have experience to make really good films, and even in the style anime. But Hollywood is an extension of mainstream Middle America, and mainstream Middle America still doesn't respect animation. They still see it as just for Saturday morning cartoons or like just a toy commercial or something like that. So, if they don't respect the animation, they can't really put their hearts into treating it like an art form that it deserves to be. Second, Hollywood films are too mainstream. They're too ethnocentric, rah-rah American to be able to maintain some of the unique Japanese sensibilities that anime has. Like for example, you guys brought up Akira. Akira is like this. You might think, oh, it could work as like this blockbuster action movie, but the the themes of Akira are so uniquely Japanese, so set in that like mid '80s time where it was after they hosted the Olympics and they were in this big social turmoil. It's so centric to what Japan was going through at that time. They couldn't. It's really tough to translate that to an American setting like New York. And
So one of the comments brought up here was Speed Racer. That was done by the lead character was the same guy who did the Star Wars movies, the remakes. What's his name? He's British. I can't think of his name now.
The Star Wars movies?
He did the first 3 Star Wars movies. He played Obi-Wan.
Oh, Ewan McGregor.
Yes.
Yeah.
He played the lead.
I
He
love
played the
Ewan
lead role in
McGregor.
Speed Racer, right? I believe
I believe
so.
so.
I believe so.
I haven't seen that.
Maybe I'm thinking the wrong thing. I haven't seen Speed Racer either. It came out at a time when I was like, I'd spend my money somewhere else. But some comments here in the chat log. Speed Racer captured some of the original series. Now I haven't seen it. I can't say as much. I don't know if you guys have seen it as well.
Okay, I've heard.
Ewan
haven't seen
McGregor
it.
did not do Speed Racer.
It wasn't
by the
him.
way.
Okay, wrong guy then.
I don't think so.
I haven't seen the movie. I've heard good things about it from people whose opinions I respect. But here comes the third reason why Hollywood isn't ready to animate or adapt anime. The strengths of anime are the kind of surreal imagery, kind of hyper-real, like things you couldn't do in real life that will make some visuals pop and the kind of draw that crowd. And that takes a lot of money to do in live action. Speed Racer took so many millions of dollars. There was no way it couldn't flop in the theaters.
I think
It was too expensive to make for the kind of audience it would draw.
Well, it was the Wachowski brothers who are known for outlandish setups and special effects. So.
right.
But
I think also sometimes animation is a better medium to do some types of stories and some types of animation than live action. I'll quote Roger Ebert in his review of Grave of the Fireflies in that animation was the only medium that he believed that movie would have worked in, because it's when you have that kind of emotion, when you have that kind of setup, the fact that it's an imaginary character going through all that hardship, it gives the audience that feeling that a girl, rather than an actor, is going through this story. And the animation, instead of it being a person, it's an idea. And that's a very powerful effect sometimes. So sometimes it is true that you're better off doing an animation rather than a live action film.
So Mushishi, is that already been released? That's a live action currently out there, right? Have you guys seen that?
Mushishi?
No.
I have not.
I haven't actually. Actually, if I just
No.
bring up someone mentioned Battle Angel Alita, and there's a lot of buzz about this because apparently James Cameron wants to do this, but when we say he wants to do this, we mean after Avatar, and that means maybe it'll be 2020 before it's out. So, does anyone think if Cameron does an anime manga adaptation well, will Hollywood follow, or is it?
He's well past his prime already. It would have to be really good for Hollywood to follow in his footsteps, and I think he's already done his best stuff.
Whoa.
Actually, I was
2020
thinking
will
more
be
like
way too late.
he makes so much money, so
But
probably try.
But he brings a lot of technical. He brings the resources. I think he may be past his prime, but he brings the resources together necessary to pull something off.
Definitely.
I think that even if he's not directing, let's say he's just the project manager, for lack of a better word, he could bring enough stuff together to probably make it happen. I mean, he's done $2 billion films.
But will it be financially sound to I don't know, pay off for another one.
Well, I mean, on
Like-
Avatar, I mean, he created his own language and world. He created an entire backstory just to sell a movie. I mean, at least
Wasn't also he waited like 10 years to complete Avatar because he wanted it to be in 3D. He kind of already knew he wanted it to be in 3D, so he waited.
yeah, that's true. True. I don't know. Let's go to I don't know. There's just too many ups and downs there. It's too hard. I think the biggest disconnect isn't going to be money or directing. It's going to, well, I guess it will be directing in a sense, but it's going to be how do you take a storyline that's set with very specific cultural references and then transition that to another place where those cultural references make no sense. I think if you can overcome that big barrier, you might be able to be successful. Like, for example, American kids between the ages of 12 and 18 do not understand going to school, wearing a uniform, being very structured, etc. It just doesn't make any sense. So that whole high school setup is completely different. So how do you transfer that cultural, that relevant cultural thing to someplace where that doesn't exist? How do you transfer that emotion, that classroom setting? I don't know if you could do it. And then, like Kadian was saying, Akira is very, very localized to a specific time frame. So how do you transition that time frame and the feelings associated with that time frame 30 years later? Can you do it? You know, there's a lot of things that go into that. I'm trying to think what else. You know, blood might be decent enough simply because it's a girl with a knife killing vampire-like animals. You know, vampires are big. That's something you could probably get away with.
I think the story for that is general enough that they don't need much backstory or much context to get into like an action movie like that. That's the thing with I think at the top of the question you mentioned comic book adaptations and how they've become mainstream blockbusters. The thing about Western comic books is that they've always been about America. Like, that's part of our cultural fabric. So people who go to see these movies, they still understand what these characters are about, as opposed to importing all these stories and this visual language from another culture, which is just, I think, too high a barrier for Hollywood to overcome right now.
All right. I think there's some good points there. It's just I think in the next few years, as we talked about breaking down some of these barriers between regions and letting the market expand naturally rather than forcing it through windowing on releases, I think things may change, but it may not be in the time frame where any of us are engaged in that community. We'll have to see though. But so, questions from our viewers. We have one question directed straight to you, Kivo. Which anime do you think best represents the spirit of capitalism? Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Sorry, I thought
hi,
I lost you.
Shimaru. I forgot that I have press to talk. Yeah, this is an inside joke with Shimaru. We were at Anime Expo last week, and from the J-List booth. Of course, those out there not familiar with J-List, they're the one with the classy ads at Natorans and things like that.
Good old Peter Pan.
Yeah, I got a picture with Peter Pan, actually. It'll be on my blog later. We went up to the J-List booth, and I bought something from Peter Pan, and I was flipping through all these awful hentai, and there was one called The Spirit of Capitalism, and I just had to buy it because of the name. I've yet to read through it, but it must be, I assume it's quality.
Related at all to, like, see the possibility of money and control?
I read the first chapter. Apparently, it takes place in some alternate universe where office ladies are basically sexual things for people. I will.
Wow.
I'll stop describing it now. It's very interesting. I've never been into hentai. I basically bought it so that Peter Pan would take a picture with me.
So let's reverse the question earlier from Japanese manga and anime being translated to America. How about the reverse? Do you guys feel that Western novels, movies, games, comics, etc. have transitioned well over to Japan? I know in 2011 we had X-Men and Wolverine and Iron Man get made into anime.
Oh my god.
But do you think that was a good transition or not? Do you think that was a very poor showing, a very poor representation?
Yes.
Oh, those shows were so bad. They had no money behind them. Like Madhouse
I just couldn't get it.
literally were bankrupt from making Redline. They had no money to make those shows. They were really terrible.
Which is a shame.
I think a more appropriate westernized thing that came to Japan was Hero Man, because that was a show where Stan Lee came up with the concept and the names, and Bowen's animated the thing,
Yeah.
and they actually had money, and it was a fair kids show, like Poppy and likable characters and stuff like that. So, kind of, I guess simplistic kids cartoons always translate across cultures.
Yeah, Stan Lee's actually a bit of an ambassador to like kind of merge, the West and East. He also was involved with have you guys heard of Ultima, the manga?
No.
Sorry.
Oh, basically, he made the original idea, and the guy who's the mangaka of Shaman King, he's doing the drawing for it, and it's been ongoing for a few years now in Shonen Jump, I think, the monthly one.
Hmm.
Like, I
Okay.
think Stan Lee's just that, he's that guy who's there trying to do something to merge East and West, I think.
Huh. I think I'm the biggest manga reader out of this group. I don't know about you guys, but between the rest of us, I don't know how much Katie or Kivo read manga. I'll have to look into that when we're done.
I do not read manga at all, actually.
Oh.
I read Yotsuba.
I've got an active list of about 20 or 30 that I follow, so I'm probably the biggest one of the bunch. We can go into a whole argument about how much I like written over animated, but that's a whole nother day, a whole nother discussion. But
When you have that discussion, call me. I'll be in your corner.
sounds good. So guys, we talked a little bit about summer series. We're only halfway through, so you really can't make any snap judgments yet. But if you could pick out of anime you've seen and anime that are coming up, halfway
I
through.
mean, we're barely one episode through.
Well, I mean, halfway through how about halfway through the first releases, the first episodes? We still have the rest of the week, plus we still have the Noitamino shows. But if there's a summer series you think will be popular, what do you think it will be?
That will be popular?
You think that will become popular, that has the potential to be the hit of 2012 summer?
Among Anna bloggers or among plebes? Because I think Muv-Luv will probably be popular, but I think it'll be a bad show.
Okay, so let's do the plebe answer then. What do you, the plebes will like Muv-Luv?
Yeah, it's got robots and war and like girls in incredibly skin tight outfits. It's got all that like junk and people that attracts eyeballs.
Kivo?
The most popular show. I mean, it's got to be Moyashiman. I mean, everyone's talking about it. We finally have a second season. I mean, yeah, it's going to be Moyashiman season 2.
That's going to be the Anna bloggers.
Yeah, that's going to be elite Annie bloggers anime power ranking show. I think that what's going to happen is that one of those random like love romance comedies that are that one of those is going to be really popular because it just snuck under the radar and it's like really popular.
What are the teenage romance shows?
One of these girls is your little sister. I'm calling it right now. One of these girls is your little sister. Is going to be the greatest anime since Oreimo.
Oh.
Wow.
All right, Az, what's yours?
Well, Annie bloggers, Moyashiman, for obvious reasons. I'm going to go ahead and say probably Tari Tari for anyone who misses Hanasa Iroha.
Okay. And what do you guys think is
But-
going to be? Oh, keep going. Sorry.
No, but again, it's if you're into that, teenagers and drama, and I'm much older than I am thing. That's definitely a choice. Then I think the only other. I think also maybe Lagrange season 2 is probably going to be quite big.
So what do you think is going to be a flop then? What do you think is going to be the one show that has big expectations with very little results?
I don't think anything this season has big expectations from anybody. That's the thing.
I think you could take the Italian-speaking Japanese people out of Arcana. I think that one's got lots of fighting budget, but very poor results. Have you seen that yet, Famiglia Arcana?
Yeah.
Yeah, where they try to give the Japanese people a Italian accent.
Oh yeah, there was the one guy who kept going, Bambina, Bambina.
Yes, it was terrible, absolutely terrible.
I think if
Go ahead.
I think if something is gonna flop, it might be Sword Art Online. Just because look at it. I mean, come on.
Everyone already made their that hack sign joke.
I think
I don't know.
a series that's there's already been a series that's flopped. Well, from my point of view, anyway. And that was Kingdom because it was terrible animated.
Yeah. Jeez.
It was.
Yeah,
I read the few chapters of the manga and it was quite decent. It was like historical, blood everywhere scene in the manga. And then I just saw the anime. I was like, oh dear God.
It's the CG character designs that look bad for 2004, right? Like this, animation studios just haven't figured out how to do a CG character yet, and integrate it into like action-heavy show, or at least I haven't seen one yet.
No, Kingdom was a disaster. I mean, I think I had kind of high hopes for it, and then it just, first episode, about 5 minutes in, I already hated it.
I have to admit, I did not watch a single show that just did not appeal to me at this point. But I think that is all the questions we have from our chat window tonight. If there's any final words you guys want to say, we'll go around the horn here, and we'll start with Kivo. Any final thoughts?
Yeah. Everyone needs to put everything down and watch friggin' Heart Catch or Smile Precure. Grizzly Bear, I blame you for doing this to my taste in anime, but I am friggin' hooked on those stupid shows. So yeah.
Now remember, Chris just started. He just started his Cure blog.
Legit.
No, he was on my show once, and he started talking about Precure. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll check it out, and I'm a lost cause since then. I've neglected my friends, my family, my kids starved to death. I was watching.
Oh, jeez.
No, I'll say I've seen a fair share of magical girl shows, and a lot of them are generic, a lot of them are not even good. I'd say bad. But Heart Catch is good stuff, man.
I love the music. Go and read my review on Anime Instrumentality.
It's a
Heart
quality
Catch's
production.
soundtrack. Yasuharu Takahashi is a genius among men.
Az, what do you think? What's your final thoughts for the night? Anything we've talked about? Anything you just want to say?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Joe. And if you're missing the character designs from Bakuno and Durarara, the character designer is back doing character designs for a series coming out this fall.
And the series name is?
The Tomb, of course with an exclamation mark.
Gotcha. Katie, any final thoughts for tonight?
Everyone watch Polar Bear Cafe. They got a second tour.
That's right. They're continuing on. You can watch Part-Time Panda live it up.
Yeah.
So I missed the ending of the first core. Did waitress gal and zookeeper guy hook up or not? Is that a yes or a no?
Oh, I think you cut out. I couldn't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, did waitress gal and zookeeper guy did they hook up or not?
What do you think when Penguin has been kind of lusting after the Penguin Bakery Penguin for like the whole season? They're gonna stretch that storyline arc as far as they possibly can.
I feel like I should be watching a series.
Polar Bear Cafe definitely got attention from my kids, but for me, it's one of those ones where I turn it on, I walk away, I make myself a sandwich, and I come back.
Okay, I don't know if anyone else is like this, but for Polar Bear Cafe, does every time you see the polar bear, are you like reminded of those Coca-Cola commercials? Like for some reason, every time I watch that show, I get this craving for Coca-Cola.
No,
That reminds me, every time I hear that song on the radio, I want to drink a Pepsi now, whichever one that is.
They brainwash you guys.
Subliminal messaging.
Actually, I'm going to drink some Coca-Cola right here. I'll have my check, please. Thank you.
Oh, jeez. All right, guys. Well, that was great. Next week, we have Fosh from Metanorm coming back. Aeroblip, your coworker there, Kevo.
Boo!
And a new guest, Numbers, will be joining us from Numbers in Space. So that'll be a lot of fun next week. Should be interesting as well. Maybe we'll even do a theme night just to kind of spice things up. But thank you guys for watching. You can find this show tomorrow, if the 4th of July doesn't get a hold of me, at joeanimated.wordpress.com. This also comes as a podcast feed if you so desire. You can, at Joe Animated, you can click on the link and add it to your favorite podcast reader. And if you are interested in joining me some week, email me. My email address is right there. We'll have a lot of fun. Anyways, thank you again, guys. Appreciate it. And as always, everybody have a good night.
Thanks for having us.
Bye, guys.
Thanks a lot. Bye.